So adventures in subbing. Adventures in subbing today. I was at a middle school, and this little grade 6 white girl walked into the room and looked at me and said, "It's Jagmeet Singh." I don't know how to pronounce his name. The NDP candidate. Just said it really loud, like right at me in front of her friend, and just started laughing really hard. And then was like, "Oh, just kidding." And it was like it caught me off guard. And I don't know. It was just like weird. I was really angry at first, and I was just like, "What the hell?" Like, not necessarily angry at her, but just angry at the situation. And I was like, "This is why I don't do middle school or elementary. This is like dumb." Because it's just, if it was someone in high school, I would have been like, "You racist!" Like, what are you doing? Like, why? I would challenge them. I would say something. I would like speak up. But I'm like, you're in grade 6. You have no idea what you're talking about, and you probably just thought it was a funny thing. And that's I don't know. I make racist jokes all the time in good company. I mean, like, there's just things that you say when you know that you can say them and that they're in context. And obviously this was just, not understanding, social behavior yet because they're so small and little and not mature in their brainium yet. So, I don't know, it was just a weird thing. And I was like, man, middle school is just, ugh. There's way worse things I could be called and way worse people I could be called. But obviously one thing, I really don't look anything like this man, I believe, because I just don't. But he's a good-looking dude, so maybe I should just take it as a compliment and shut my face. Whatever. They weren't being serious. I knew it was a joke, but it was just like, man, that's cool. Like, I don't know. That was part of my day. My day was absolute trash at school, but highlight right there. Need to pull a Rick Mercer here once I feel comfortable with City Hall behind me. I feel very exposed. I was going to say really quickly, I'm no politician or statistician or math magician, but I think it's interesting just because I know a lot of people who say, oh, I would vote NDP, for example, but I don't want to split the vote. They're just not going to get in there, so I'd rather vote for my second favorite choice or whatever because that'd be likely to happen. I think it's this, for me, like I said, with my limited knowledge, I think it's the same thing as people just being like, oh, I just don't want to vote because it's not going to make a difference. I think that all those people that don't want to do those things, if they all did them the way they wanted to do them, it would make a difference. So that's my spiel on voting. So hopefully if you are eligible to vote, you go and do that, because why because why not? What a strong argument. Because you should exercise that right, I believe. thought I'd take a quick minute, do a little virtual tour of the exhibition we have. The lighting in here is absolutely horrendous. It's white light, yellow light, pot lights and spotlights, and it's just a mess. Not very uniform. So, if you are in the Lethbridge area, I would still suggest coming down and seeing it in person, because even if the lighting was great, it's just not the same seeing it here or seeing it here. But the exhibition is up until November 9th, so you got plenty of time, almost a full month still, because this is going up, I don't even know when, October 13th or something like that. Anyway, but let's get into it. So, I mean, those are the stairs there. So this is kind of the first one you see. It is called Gobbling Sugar-Coated Candy. I don't know, obviously I like all the pieces that we have in here. This is kind of almost a companion piece to another one. They were done back to back, like a week or two apart, I think. And the color schemes, I think, definitely reflect that for sure. It is very sugary and sweet and delicious and horrible and rotten for you, like candy. Got some nice textures going on. Yeah, it's really hard to get in close and see. We have our artist statement here, swinging in the wind. You can read that sometime. Maybe I'll put a picture of it here. This one's kind of a cool one. It's a little different than some others because I started to create a narrative in my head, so it wasn't just abstract. I was starting to like tell this story of like aliens and like a different planet and stuff. So I don't know. It still is abstract and non-objective, but for some reason, I don't know what triggered it. It was just like I think it's what we were listening to, because I was listening to At the Drive-In. We were listening to At the Drive-In. Relationship of Command was the album. Anyway, Snuck Inside the Sound of Sleep, which is a lyric from one of the songs off that album. And I don't know, I just had this weird thing like with this dome shape, and then there's like this horizon going on, and then I don't know, there's like little symbols, little X's, and like Dorothy said these were like little like villages or something, and this is like people. I don't know. There's some stuff going on there. It's definitely different. I really like it. This is really different from stuff that I would have done. Like I said, this is kind of that companion piece to Sugar-Coated Candy, or Gobbling Sugar-Coated Candy. This is Enchanted. I think we did this one first. After a long hiatus of not doing any collaborative work, and then shortly after I went to Gobbling Sugar-Coated Candy. Maybe it should be a thing where we like take like time off very specifically, like, oh, let's just do one a month or something, you know? Maybe we could plan that. I don't know, because I think if we do them too soon, something like this happens, right? Where the color schemes and stuff are very similar and the approach is very similar. I've got some of these like cuts and lines in here, and like, I don't know, it just seemed, and they're both relatively the same size in comparison. So this one, this was the very first one we did. It is both of our favorites, 22 Steps to Total Power, which is a Tool reference. We were listening to a lot of Tool when we did this, and yeah, I love it. Like I said, it's our favorite one. And we started off with a red background and put this butcher's paper, so this is butcher's paper on here. We like put that on, and then Loralee started ripping parts of it off and stuff, and then I didn't like that at first, and then I really did like it. We've got some more stuff here. So a lot of great textures going on. I love the colors so much. Those deep, rich navy and indigo blues in there, and like these teals. There's so much I love about this piece. It's still just one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And we did it together, so it's not just like I did it alone, but I mean anything that I've been a part of, I should say, creating, this is one of my favorite things. Like, it would take me forever just to like show you close-ups of all my favorite parts, because there's too many of them. So many of them. But that's that one. Then this is, well, we'll get to this after. This one was the second one we ever did. Like I mentioned, that one was the first one we ever did, and all these three fell in between. But this is the second one, and we kind of talked about it first. We had a conversation about purity, and I was like, why don't we do a piece that's like all white, like different shades of white and stuff. And we battled each other and this piece a lot. It's called Your Experience is a Bruise, which is very apt. I honestly can't remember what we were listening to because it happened over the course of like 3 different sessions, and with all the other paintings, it was one session. We did it all in one day. It was a long day, like a 5-6 hour painting session or something like that. But this took like 3 different sessions. We've got some cool textures and stuff going on here too. This like tooling fabric, and there's like obviously gesso and other stuff going on. But yeah, we talked about this thing about purity. I think it's because we had too much of a let's do this, and then it turned into like, I don't know, it got really weird, and we had to fix it. One time we thought we were done. We're like, okay, we're happy with it, and then I took pictures of it, posted it online. I was like, nope, not done. Neither of us were happy with it, so we had to do it again. But it took months just to do those 3 sessions. There's a huge gap. It was just emotionally draining. We weren't happy with each other. I was a big part of that, just because like we had discussed something and then it wasn't happening, and then we learned like this is why we don't discuss what we're gonna do. We just do. We put on some music. That's the only thing we discuss. It's just like, hey, what do you want to listen to? Okay, cool. Me too. Let's do that. And then we make it, rather than trying to discuss a thing first. Even though it was abstract, it was just like, oh, let's just play with whites. And then the first thing that went on there was not white, and I was very confused, and I got frustrated, and I didn't want to like say anything, because we don't talk about the painting while we're painting until we get to very close to the end, and then we start to figure out what it is we can do better and stuff. Anyway, this is the collaborative piece that we were working on for this exhibition. It is the title of the exhibition, Breaths, Whispers, Screams. So we did one session for 2 hours, or about an hour and a half, I guess. The opening reception night, so there was people all over the space. They were just like all over the place. It was pretty packed in here at one point, or more than one point. It was pretty packed, pretty consistently for the hour and a half we were working on it. There was very few times where there was less than like 10 people in the room. But yeah, so the first night was kind of a gong show, and we talk about that in our podcast about like the effects of an audience. We go into generalities, but also a lot of specifics about this piece, about having people here while we were painting live. And then we did our second session last week, where we were alone, and we got to a place where we think we might be done, but we're not 100% sure. But I mean, if you want to know really all the details of that, you can check out the video. There's 2 art process videos on this channel, and they're also on the Artist Life podcast channel. And then our podcast, I mean, you can find that. It's just called Artist Life. But the YouTube channel is called Artist Life Podcast, and the videos of the podcast are up there as well. And we talk about effects of an audience, I think is what it's called, and it's episode number 10. So you can find that, and we go into detail about this. But yeah, this is the first time I'm looking at this since we were here last week, and I don't really know what to do with it, which is kind of a good thing. Sometimes you're like, don't know what to do with it, so I think it's done. We'll wait till Loralee gets here because she's going to be here later and see what she has to say. But that was just a quick 8-minute little tour of the space. If you are going to be in Southern Alberta or whatever, and you want to see this stuff, then come see this stuff. The reason I recorded like the way in here was because the address isn't posted right on the door, and you have to go through like hallways and basements and a thing that says employees only, which you just ignore. As long as, the door is unlocked, then come in, and that's it. So again, until November 9th, this is up, and it is 104 5th Street South, Lethbridge, Alberta. Just wrapping up the vlog for this week. Other videos that we did this week, not you and me, that I did this week. There was an art process video, the second round or second session that Loralee and I did on our collaborative painting. That's in the art process playlist. I had a conversation about how you should go to church to find your morals, which is completely sarcastic. So there's that conversation. And I have a review about a great book series, really beautiful, illustrative, a lot of visual art happening, and very lyrical, romantic type writing. Griffin and Sabine book series, so that's in the review section. And I think that was pretty much it for this week. But you can check those things out, and we will see you on another time.